Hi friends and welcome to another video. Today I am bringing you a fall recommendation video. If you would like more of horror or disturbing books, I took that recommendation out video. That recommendation video out not too long ago. I will leave it linked in the description or on the screen somewhere. If you're looking for more disturbing, horror, creepy stories, recommendations, go to that video. This is a bit more casual. So when I think of fall, I think of cozy. I think of a few things. I think of like cozy, cutesy, happy. Then I think of like disturbing, horror, freaky. And then I think of paranormal, kind of like when I was younger, and I would get that nostalgic hit from reading vampires and werewolves. I love doing that in fall because it brings back that nostalgia factor for me. So if you're looking for some fall recommendations, then I hope you find some to add to your TBR in this video. The first book we have here is Dark Lover by J.R. Ward. This is a vampire book, and I love this, if you could not tell. I gave this a 4.5 stars, so this was a really high read for me. In this, we follow Wrath, who is the only purebred vampire left in existence, and he has a score to settle between him and the Slayers for killing his parents. Killing his parents? Yeah, centuries ago, killing his parents. And he then also tells a friend, makes a promise to a friend, that he would help his half-breed daughter if anything happened to him. Enter Beth, the half-breed that is about to come into the world of the undead, and Wrath, who can't stay away from her. This was glorious. I loved this. This was exactly what I wanted for like a fall read. I didn't read it in the fall. I do have a full review for this, so I will leave that link down below also. I didn't know what to expect. I know a lot of people love this series. It is a big series, so I was super intimidated. But going into the first book, it just felt really nice. It was well written. The characters felt real and flawed, and we also got introduced to like the characters we will follow in the next books, which I love when that happens. So if you're looking for like a sexy vampire read that you can continue on with if you would like to, I highly recommend this one. In a similar but slightly different vein from Dark Lover, I have here Bitten by Kelly Armstrong, and this is the first book in the Otherworld series. I'm pretty sure it's the Otherworld series. Yes, Women of the Otherworld, and I really enjoyed this. I actually read this a while ago, and I also watched the first episode of the TV show. Again, if I mention anything that I have other content on, I will leave it linked down below. And this was just, it was so reminiscent. This is a werewolf story, and it's so reminiscent of like when I was younger and I would actively seek out like vampires, werewolf, and witches. And it's so interesting to me that this did exist obviously back then. When was this released actually? I think it's like an older book. 2003. So this would have existed when I was looking for that, but this would have been in the adult section, and I was not an adult when I was looking for things like that. I was a Twilight kid. Like, I read all of the Twilight books as they came out, and then I watched all of the films as they came out, and then I also done like the marathon in the cinema before the like last film dropped. And so I was in a very like particular reading mood back when I was a teenager, and a lot of it was werewolves, witches, and vampires. So I kind of wish that I discovered this when I was younger, but I don't know if this would have been appropriate. Maybe, I don't know. So in this we follow Elena, and reading this after being a Vampire Diaries lover, it's kind of hard to read the like name Elena as a werewolf, because essentially in this you follow Elena, who is just trying to live her life, but then her pack gets in a lot of trouble and she has to go back to help them. But her ex-lover, who actually turned her into a werewolf, is part of that pack. So like sexy drama ensues. I really enjoyed this. This is a series that I really want to continue. I have read up to book 4, but I'm really struggling on book 4. I just can't get past like the first 50 pages. Every time I pick it up, I enjoy what I read, but I just can't get past that part. But I think I'm going to skip over that book and go on to the next arc. Because the thing about these books is the first two follow Elena and her pack. And then books 3 and 4 follow Paige, who is a witch that you meet in these books. And then I believe 5 and 6 go back to the pack, or 5 goes back to the pack. So you can kind of skip about the series, I believe. I would have to figure that out for myself. So when I continue, I think I'm going to skip book 4, go on to book 5, and hope that the arc and the characters we're following are different so that I can maybe continue on over the stumble. But books 1 to 3 were absolute hits for me, and I highly recommend if you're looking for a werewolf story. The next book is a recent read for me. This is Crimson Moth. I have a vlog, I'll link it. I loved this. I actually had a better time with this than I thought I would, because do you know when you think like this follows witches. So far we've had a vampire, a werewolf, and this follows witches. And I just feel like that's fall wrapped up in 3 books for me. And when I picked this up, I was a little bit hesitant because I thought it was YA, but it actually reads more NA than YA. So I had a ball. I had a ball with this. In this, you follow Rune, who is a witch, and witches in this world are hunted and killed by Gideon, who is on the other side hunting down witches, killing them. And Rune is on the side of protecting witches. So what can go wrong when Rune tries to get involved with Gideon to thwart his plans to murder witches, and when Gideon realizes that Rune's not all she claims to be? Drama, intrigue ensues. I loved this. I loved this. This was a surprise for me. I went in just expecting to have like a middle of the road read, but I actually really enjoyed this and highly recommend something if you're looking for witches. I already have the second book on pre-order. It's not out till 2025, but I have the second book on pre-order, and I will be rereading this before the second book comes out because this was vibe. This was a vibe for me. And the cover is stunning. This definitely gives like autumn, fall vibes on this cover. The next book I have here also gives off like fall vibes. This is The Last Tales of the Flower Bride. And this is one that may not work for everyone because I've seen that I am in the minority and really loving this book because I had a blast with this. But you follow Indigo and she tells her groom to be, that he will never pry into her past. He'll never know her history. But then she receives, news that her aunt is dying and she needs to return to her childhood home, the House of Dreams. And this house is not a normal house. These people don't live a normal life. And there is so much history in this that drama ensues. This is well built for me. The atmosphere is done so well, and I didn't guess I wasn't close to the third act. I didn't guess the third act, which I think a lot of people did, but I didn't. I was just really caught up in the whimsy and the gothicness of this story. So if you're looking for something with a gothic setting that's kind of whimsical lyrical writing with a very mysterious main character, then I would give this a go. The next book I have is also one with a beautiful setting, and it is Gallant by V.E. Schwab. I read this in a day. This was fun, fast-paced, with a great setting for fall. In this, you follow Olivia Pryor, and she is essentially an orphan, or so she thinks. So she is at this boarding school, and she receives a letter from her uncle inviting her to her family's estate. But she didn't know, she had a family, and she didn't know this estate existed. So she takes off on her travels to Gallant, which is the estate's name. But Gallant isn't all that it seems, and she may be opening a door that she wished she never did. This was fun, fast. There is, not illustrations, but, I do believe there actually is illustrations in this, yeah. There's illustrations in this that are beautifully done, beautifully crafted. The story is well done. Schwab is just an amazing writer, and if you're looking for something again with a life like a setting that's just life of its own and something that is fast, then I would pick this up, because I read this in a day without, without struggle. It was just like, I'm invested. So this is a fast read and one with a brilliant setting. The next one I have here is one that was on my favourites from last year. This was actually tied with the first Mistborn book by Brandon Sanderson for first place, and it is Cemetery Boys by Adrian Thomas. Does that not just, like, this cover, just autumn vibes, autumn vibes. In this, I am probably going to pronounce the main character's name wrong, because I don't think I can, like, say it correctly, but it's Radriel. Right there. I don't know if it's just like I can't say it properly, or if I've just been pronouncing it wrong, because I've heard someone say Radriel instead of Yadriel, and I don't know which is correct. So you follow him as he is trying to prove to his Latinx family that he is a real brujo, and he performs a ceremony and ends up with this really charming, really cute ghost. And he is called Julian. And Radriel decides to help Julian find his peace, or find out what happened to him. And so together with his cousin, they all embark on this story. And it is just so heartwarming. It's just rich with culture and love, and I loved every character in this book. I loved all the settings. I loved the storyline. It was just fabulously done, and I cannot wait to read more of this author. But considering this takes place with a brujo that has seen a ghost, that, magic is just deep rooted in this world. Love it. Love it. It is one of those that you pick up and you just want to read more, because you get all the feels, and this just gave me the warm fuzzies. And sometimes you just need that in fall. You need that warm fuzzy feeling. The next one I have here is a thriller, because of course I could not do this whole list without having at least one thriller on here. And it is She and I by Hannah King. I really enjoyed this. I met this author originally at Granite Noir, and when they talked about this book, I just knew that I had to read it, and I'm so glad that I did. In this, you follow Keely and Jude, and they're inseparable best friends. But one day they wake up after a New Year's party, and Keely's boyfriend is dead. So you go through this story of friendship, but also obsession, with a touch of what the hell happened and who's protecting who. I believe if you're looking for like a fast-paced thriller that centers around strong relationships, whether they're good or bad, and also it has that, like, I wouldn't say it has a creepy setting, but I would say the setting works so well for the story. It's kind of doom and gloom surrounding this small town, this friendship, this murder mystery, that you kind of get invested in everything that's going on while simultaneously trying to guess the narrative and what's happened and who's to blame. If you're looking for a thriller that is just like, I wouldn't say fun, I wouldn't say this thriller is fun, but I will say that Jude and Keely has really stuck with me as a friendship, and I really enjoy that about this story. If you're looking for a story that has a really well written friendship, then I would recommend this one. We're down to the last three picks, and for my third pick, I have here Godkiller by Hannah Kaner. Doesn't this just scream autumn? Like, if anything, you should read this, because this cover just screams autumn. And I love it. So in this, you follow Kissin, whose family was killed by zealots of the fire god, and now she kills gods for a living, and she loves it. So when a little god attaches itself to a young noble, Kissin knows that she has to do something about this, and they all embark on an adventure together to figure out where this little god Skedi has came from. He's the little god of white lies, and the young noble girl has become attached to her little god. So this is, for me, an adventure story. This, I do think that I would have liked a little bit more in this book, just like a couple more chapters on the end, but this is the first book in a series, so I understand why they didn't put it all in the first book. I do think this still stands great on its own, and if you're looking for something that is adventure, fantastical, following like a ragtag group of people that don't necessarily all fit together, then I think this would really do it for you. I do think that it's more of an adventure story, and there is a lot of, you know, travel and changing and meeting new faces, but it does keep the momentum of the story going. And you really do fall in love with the characters, and by the end, you just want to know what's going on. I will say that I have to read the sequel to this, and I'm really worried because I did enjoy this so much. I'm worried that the sequel won't deliver. I own it, I just haven't read it yet. So yeah, if you're looking for adventure with a group of people that don't necessarily fit together, but you still end up loving anyway, this would be a great pick for you. The next pick I have here is An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. Now, I could have went with Evocations for this, but I decided to go with An Education in Malice. I'm bringing it right back around to vampires. So in this, you follow Laura, who is off to St. Petunia's in Massachusetts, and I cannot say that word because it always sounds like massive two shits, and I swear I'm trying. Massachusetts. You get me. And she's off to university. She wants to, you know, make a living, make a career, and then she meets Carmilla. And Carmilla is just a mystery wrapped in a beautiful shell, and she cannot stay away. But Carmilla comes with De La Fontaine, which is the professor that they both are in, like, competing in the class for, like, #1 star student. And things get entangled, interweaved. This trio is just like a really weird dynamic, but also Laura and Camilla are just like so good to follow. There was a few issues with this book for me. Nothing major. I really love the characters in this. I love the, you know, budding relationships of all of these people. I just wanted more plot, and I wanted more repercussions of the plot. But apart from that, if you are wanting something like character driven with that gothic feel, gothic setting, and vampires, then I honestly believe this will work for you well. This is also queer, and so is Cemetery Boys. I believe those are the two that are queer in this story. Anyways, if you're looking for something fun with vampires, this is your jam. Maybe not so much on plot, but definitely on characters. And finally, it would not be me if I did not put this on my list. It is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I read this. I loved this. I was so hesitant to read this because of all the hype. I was so worried that I was not going to like this, but I loved it. In this, you follow Mika Moon, and she is a witch, bringing it right back round to witches again. And she makes videos online, but her coven aren't all for this. They think that she's going to get discovered, but she's like, who's going to know that I'm a real witch posting things online? Well, someone does. Someone sees her sparkle that only a true witch has and asks her if she'd be willing to take on a job. And the job is to come and train little youngling witches. I love this. This is like found family, romance, like small town setting with cutesy magic, and the stakes are there, but they're not extremely high, or at least they don't feel like it'll go extremely high. I love this. This for me is when you're feeling like down, if you're feeling sad or lonely, or you've just need a pick-me-up, read this. This will deliver those little warm, cozy, fuzzy feelings that will feel like you're being hugged. This book is a hug in a book form for me. So I highly recommend this one if you need a pick-me-up. And that is all I have to share with you today. That is 10 books that I highly recommend to add to your fall TBRs this season. Please let me know in the comments if you've read any of these. Let me know if you've added any to your TBR. I would love to know. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great day, a great week, whenever you're watching this. Remember to stay safe, happy, and healthy. And I will see you next time. Bye.
Pick it up from the top, hit restart. So far it's been so